A person with a sexual addiction very often does say, I'm just going to stop. I'll use my willpower. And unfortunately, that's a myth about what sex addiction is all about. It's not a moral failing, it's not a weakness, it's not something that the person voluntarily indulges in. In fact, I would say that sex addicts are among the strongest willed people I've ever met. But willpower is not sufficient because this is a trauma-based problem, and they engage in the compulsive behaviors in order to deal with deep emotional pain. If a person who has a sexual addiction sincerely wants to stop, they have a whole repertoire of things that they need to do. First, I'd recommend getting a competent sexual addiction therapist. And second of all, joining a 12-step program for sexual addiction recovery. They're extremely helpful because a person who's in early recovery for sex addiction, since it's been a comprehensive behavior in their secret life, they need comprehensive availability of support, and that they can get that in a 12-step program. Individual therapy is going to help them do the deeper trauma work, but on a day-to-day basis, staying sober sexually involves other people and breaking out of the isolation that really is the core of sexual addiction, because the heart of the matter about sexual addiction is that it produces a tremendous amount of shame. Nobody who has a sexual addiction wants to brag about it. In fact, it involves an enormous amount of deception, lies to keep it secret, even in a sense from the person themselves, because the shame is so painful and they're so isolated because of the shame that the next thing they're going to do is engage in sexual behavior to help them deal with the shame. So that's the vicious cycle of sex addiction.